Northern California. You're watching Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
They say, Doug, you guys look like a bunch of clowns back there.
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for you on that because there's really no excuse.
Another speaker candidate out of the running. We hear from Congressman Doug LaMalfa about going back to the drawing board. Plus, new at 5, a new safety alert singling out one specific group of people. We dig into how this could keep our community safe. And a shelter shakeup. No more drug testing at the Torres shelter. At 4, we told you about the change to low barrier at the Torres shelter. New at 5, Action News Now reporter Camille Acevedo shows us another new change as well. So, Camille, what is the shelter doing for the LGBTQ plus community?
The shelter will be adding a gender-neutral dorm space for people that are under the LGBTQ plus community. The Torres Shelter Service Expansion Project is an effort to expand shelter accessibility for people living on the street. There are now 8 to 10 extra beds at the Torres Shelter available in designated gender-neutral space. Before, people who don't identify as either a man or woman would go on the men's or women's side based on where they felt most comfortable.
Having a space that is safe for you, that aligns with your gender identity, is just very important. So that's something that I'm personally really excited about as part of this expansion as a member of the LGBTQ community, and also excited about for the shelter to be able to provide to the community because I know it's needed.
Along with that, the shelter will no longer require drug testing for guests, but they will still implement the safety and behavior policies, which includes no violence or aggression. And if anyone is highly intoxicated where they need medical attention, the shelter will work with medical partners to get them help. I talked with a man who used to live at the shelter who worries the program may not work out well.
I guarantee you, out of the men and women that don't want to be around people that are using drugs and alcohol, they won't have the space or the capacity to do what they're talking about. So I think it's a great, theory, but I don't think it's possible with what they have available there now.
There will also be a separate space available for people who are working on sobriety and want to be tested.
Approximately 35% of the unsheltered population suffers from addiction to alcohol and or drugs. So we know that this is a demographic that needs help.
So True North Housing Alliance just launched this yesterday on Monday. However, I was told that this has been an expansion in the works for quite some time now. Live in Chico, I'm Camille Acevedo for Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
So, Camille, where did people go if they tested positive for drugs in the past? Were they turned away?
So I was told that the shelter actually had 8 beds available for people who did test positive. However, if those beds were already full, then people who did test positive after that would be turned away and they would have to stay somewhere else.
Okay, big change. Thanks, Camille. So far this year, True North Housing Alliance has housed over 130 different people. Now a live look over Shasta County. So we're not seeing rainfall, but it kind of looks like it, Patrick, from that view from above. It's kind of gloomy out there.
We are having some high clouds roll in this evening, and this is all part of a system that will bring a chance for some showers, most of it in the mountains tomorrow. So tonight is really a night of transition, and we'll have much cooler temperatures even with that pattern setting up for tomorrow. But for now, those high clouds will continue to stream in this evening. This is the visible satellite imagery. They'll be moving farther and farther south this evening, and we will see temperatures for the most part in the low to mid 70s at this point in time. This may trap, tonight we may see some of those clouds trap the heat near the surface, but again, it's still going to be a cool night overall, and we are much cooler than what we had this time yesterday, down by about 9 degrees in Chico and down by about 5 degrees in Redding. Winds are coming from the south this time, 12 miles per hour in Red Bluff. We will see this pattern continue at least until tomorrow morning as the next system rolls in. And Haley, as I mentioned, there is a chance for some showers with it. I'll break down when those showers will occur and how long they will last in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Patrick. A 24-year-old behind bars accused of stabbing somebody 5 times Saturday morning. Yesterday, we told you that Corning police were hunting for a suspect. They now say an off-duty officer spotted that suspect, Juan Ramirez, in Chico. Officers followed Ramirez to South Avenue and arrested him for attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, battery on a spouse, and violating a domestic violence court order. Red Bluff police are warning Kia and Hyundai drivers of a TikTok trend showing teens, or anybody really, how to steal cars made between 2010 and 2021. Police say they've already seen multiple cases associated to this so-called Kia Boys Challenge. The challenge shows users how to use a USB cable to hotwire cars. To prevent these thefts, the department will be increasing patrols. Now, we reported on similar incidents over the summer in Butte County, and if you notice anything suspicious, call the police. Meta in the hot seat. More than 33 state attorneys general, including California's, filed a federal lawsuit against the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. The lawsuit claims the tech giant deliberately engineered social media platforms to be addictive to kids and teens to boost profits. Our state AG, Rob Bonta, spoke about how the platforms contribute to a youth mental health crisis.
Instagram is harmful to a significant percentage of teenagers, especially teen girls. They have research that found that 13.5% of teen girls on Instagram say the platform makes thoughts of suicide and self-injury worse. That 17% say it makes eating issues worse, and 32% say it makes body image worse.
The lawsuit also claims Meta violated a law banning data collection for kids under 13. Meta says it's disappointed by the route taken by the attorneys general and is determined to provide teens with, quote, safe, positive experiences online. Happening tonight, a PG&E town hall discussion that could impact how much you pay for energy. In just 30 minutes, PG&E will discuss why it wants to raise rates to pay for undergrounding more than 2,000 miles of power lines, and why it says the state's compromise is not good enough. The meeting starts at 5:30, it runs until 7, and you can find a link to join at actionnewsnow.com. Just click on News and then News Links. 3 weeks after House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted, another Republican nominee has dropped out of the race. Skylar Henry shows us the uphill battle to get back to business.
Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer won the most votes from Republicans to become House Speaker nominee Tuesday morning. And by Tuesday afternoon, his candidacy was dead.
In Indiana, I think there were maybe 28 or so that stated they're going to choose someone else other than Tom Emmer.
Emmer's candidacy was scuttled after former President Donald Trump posted on social media slamming Emmer as a rhino, or Republican in name only.
I think we need a Speaker of the House that reflects the views of Republican voters, and Republican voters largely support President Trump.
Emmer called Trump over the weekend, but it wasn't enough. Emmer's vote to certify the 2020 presidential election results put him at odds with the MAGA Republicans. Trump's opposition to Emmer was enough to keep him from becoming Speaker. But others say they opposed Emmer because he voted for federal recognition of same-sex marriage.
I can't go along with putting one of the most moderate members of the entire Republican conference in the Speaker's chair. That betrays the conservative values that I came here to fight for.
Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson was the runner-up in voting Tuesday morning. He is supported by the conservative faction, but was not able to win over more moderate members. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Congressman Doug LaMalfa tells me that right now there are 5 new possible nominees, 3 are repeats. I also asked him what this historic stalemate means for the party and for our country.
It is unique in time. It's been a very frustrating experience because nobody gets 100% of what they want. You know, when you have 86, 88, or even up to 98% of our people voting for a particular person for leader, then if you're going to be a team, you need to get behind that.
Is there anybody or any way of putting pressure on the holdouts?
Our leaders that have spoken up on this haven't really wanted to administer punishment or take away things, take away committees. That isn't really who we want to be. Republicans generally tend to be a little more freewheeling and expressive, and I think that's what probably makes us good. Is we're not just going to willingly fall in line every time on something. You want to have a strong discussion on what it is we might disagree on. But you have to understand too, after that discussion's been had and everybody's gotten the best deal they can on a particular issue, you have to come together and come out unified. It's just not happening this time, and it's so frustrating. You know, in Kevin McCarthy, we have the best person in the room. He's our starting quarterback.
He was. Well, LaMalfa told me there's not really a deadline or an end point to all of this, and he thinks it's even possible to go back to McCarthy at some point. But his main hope is to pick somebody and get back to work on aid for Israel and things here at home like campfire settlement tax relief. Today, former President Donald Trump came face to face with his former attorney and fixer Michael Cohen for the first time in 5 years. Cohen testified in the civil case against Trump and his company. New York State attorneys say Trump and his organization committed misconduct and fraud over several years. Cohen is the key witness, providing behind-the-scenes details about what Trump said and did in recent decades.
This is not about Donald Trump versus Michael Cohen or Michael Cohen versus Donald Trump. This is about accountability.
I haven't seen him in years, and we know his record. His record is a horrible one. All you have to do is ask the Southern District of New York. He's got a horrible record, but they're just starting, but you'll see how it ends up.
What about his testimony?
It's not going to end up very good for him.
What about his
He told the court he and former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg manipulated the company's financial documents. Cohen told the court he lied to Congress in 2017 when he claimed he only spoke to Trump about the Trump Tower Moscow project 3 times. He said it was actually 10 times, and he lied about it because Trump asked him to. For Trump, this is one of many ongoing cases he's facing. Another one of them is a criminal case in Georgia, and today, another former Trump lawyer, Jenna Ellis, took a plea deal, accepting 5 years probation. The case is over alleged efforts to reverse the outcome of the 2020 election. Ellis agreed to plead guilty to 1 felony charge of aiding and abetting false statements and writing. She acted as an advisor on former President Donald Trump's 2020 campaign, and she'll also have to pay $5,000 restitution and complete 100 hours community service. An alternative to the Amber Alert. What sets this alert apart from the rest, we show you new at 5:30. And coming up new at 6, Action News Now sits down with outgoing Reading Police Chief Bill Schuler to talk about his decades-long career with the department. But first, more Hamas hostages freed today.
This is wonderful, but our hearts is with the over 200 hostages still there.
What survivors had to say as Israel continues to rain down on Gaza.
Is it my camera moved?
400 airstrikes. That's what Israel has launched at Gaza in just the past day alone. Tina Kraus shows us why the UN is now warning of catastrophe for Palestinians.
As Israel ramps up airstrikes, casualties in Gaza are rising, and the struggle to move aid into the Hamas-controlled territory is growing.
We're running out of stocks of water, food, medicines.
Terror has gripped the region since Hamas's October 7th attacks on Israeli civilians. Yocheved Lifshitz, one of the two elderly hostages released Monday, said she went through hell, and her daughter says the family's nightmare isn't over.
We do not know from my mom's story what happened to my dad. We do know that he was injured.
The faces of the missing are plastered on this wall near Israel's military and defense headquarters, a reminder of what's at stake.
Where's the outrage? Where is the revulsion?
At an impassioned UN Security Council meeting, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for universal condemnation of Hamas's terrorism and the immediate release of hostages.
I implore every member here, use your voice, use your influence, use your leverage to secure their unconditional and immediate release.
The mental toll of the war is almost inescapable, even as Israelis here in Tel Aviv try to find a moment's peace.
It's okay.
We heard bombs in the distance as we spoke with Daniel Amagol, who came to the beach to clear his head. Daniel Vask and his family left their home in southern Israel to get farther away from Gaza.
The kids are going through a difficult time.
He says Hamas should know Israelis won't back down from a fight.
After the Holocaust, we built this country. So imagine what we will do after what happened.
Israel has vowed to destroy the terror group in a looming ground invasion. Tina Kraus, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Secretary Blinken says the U.S. is working with Egypt, Israel, and the UN on a sustainable aid channel to civilians in Gaza. Searching for a home. Why a search and rescue team says limited space is impacting the way they save lives. Plus, a push to keep pollution in California ports at bay. We show you the latest guidelines that could impact your health. Coming up new at 5:30.
You're watching Action News Now. Storm Tracker weather. Coverage you can count on.
Now we're taking a live look over Butte County. perfect for spending some time outdoors. The skies look a little bit ominous, Patrick, but right now we're still doing good if people have evening plans, right?
Oh yeah, tonight's looking pretty good. Just some high-level clouds rolling in. It's going to be a night of transition as we head into a much cooler pattern and a chance for some showers tomorrow. This is what we're looking at outside from the East Los Molinos camera. The sun is on its way down and will add some nice color to the atmosphere this evening with the clouds out there, but these clouds will continue to stream in over the next several hours and thicken up at times tonight and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is when we start to see the chances for showers to roll in. 7 a.m. we could see some showers in the northern Sierra and arriving at the coastal mountains. This section over here, that is the cold front that will slide through, and that'll help bring a chance for some showers into the mid-valley. Most of the valley itself will stay dry, but we're just looking at some of the moisture moving up and over some of the foothills and the mountains, and that's squeezing out any moisture in the air as it does that. So we may see some backbuilding of moisture into the valley itself, which means Chico and Oroville may see some rain early tomorrow afternoon. As the cold front moves through, we will clear out nicely in the valley. We will still see a chance for showers and maybe even some snow showers in the higher elevations by 9 p.m. tomorrow night. But the valley is looking pretty clear and pretty nice by then, although we will have much cooler temperatures. Now this is what we're looking at for our rain totals. Not a lot. This is a weaker system that is moving through, at least the weaker end of the system, up to a few hundredths of an inch in the mid-valley. I don't think we'll see anything along the I-5 corridor, and maybe, just maybe, up to a quarter of an inch in the mountains, but even that is pushing it for most areas. Winds, we will see them continuing to come out of the south tonight, gusting up to about 20 miles per hour in some places. We'll start to see some changes by tomorrow evening, eventually coming out of the north by 11 p.m., gusting also up to about 20 miles per hour now that we're on the back end of this cold front and the overall system. I don't expect any concerns with our fire danger because our humidity level will still be rather high, sitting in the low category tomorrow. So we are looking pretty good in that regards. In the coastal mountains, we will see temperatures sitting in the lower 50s to upper 50s, depending on your elevation. It'll be much cooler than what we're looking at today, and with a chance for some showers. In the Sierra and Southern Cascades, cooler with some showers, some snow showers possible in the higher elevations, snow levels around 6,000 to 7,000 feet and higher. We will see temperatures in the lower 40s to lower 50s, so something we'll continue to watch, especially as we head deeper into the week with this colder air mass overhead with those snow levels. But for now, upper 40s to mid 50s as we see on the ridge, a chance for some showers, especially in the higher the elevation. Tonight, clouds building in, lower 50s for the most part in the North Valley, mid 60s to lower 60s in the North Valley. Also a little warmer the farther away you are from the foothills. In the mid-valley, low to mid 50s tonight, so comfortable but a little cool to start the day tomorrow. Lower 60s to mid 60s. This is well below average for this time of year, feeling a lot like November rather than October. So we will see some of those changes continuing this week. I'll break down how long it'll last and what to expect for the rest of the work week in the next half hour.
All right, thanks, Patrick. New at 5:30, a ban on drinking chemicals the health dangers officials are warning about in our water. And right now, a meeting underway to discuss a controversial gun range in the works. Plus, working for every drop, we show you the latest trend, having some searching for their own cocktail ingredients. That's new at 5. 5, foraging for ingredients to make cocktails and spirits is becoming more popular around the world. Wendy Gillette explains how you might be able to do it in your own backyard.
They're sharp enough.
James Donaldson and Kate Hannett spend many of their workdays foraging in the fields of Islay, a remote island in western Scotland. What they pick is dried and distilled with the island's spring water to help create the Botanist Gin, made by Brook Laddie Distillery on the island.
Everything that we're doing to get the best flavour and the best aromas.
The foragers pick 22 local botanicals across the island from March through October. They also use 9 berries, barks, peels, and seeds to make the gin.
The original recipe is unchanged to what we produce today, and it was really an effort to try and gather all of the wild flavours of Islay into a glass.
Scottish resident Scott Jackson and a friend sat down for a gin and tonic at the distillery.
Picking up a few notes, citrusy, some licorice, some spearmint, a minty note in it. Very refreshing, lovely.
About 5,000 miles away in Paso Robles, California, the owner of Calwise Spirits Co., Aaron Berg, picks flowers and fruits to create his gins and cocktails.
When I smell something nice, that's the first sign that it's probably going to taste nice, and I figure out what it's going to be.
The area known as SlowCal is home to 36 companies using foraged ingredients in spirits or mixers, and bars like the Alchemist Garden also leading with locally sourced items. Niner Wine Estates even offers cocktail foraging classes, with advice like knowing the entire plant is edible, so don't be afraid to experiment.
There's nothing that has more of a reflection of the place that you are than the plants that are growing there at that moment in time.
Elevating the flavor of your favorite drink. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
There's also a distillery trail in San Luis Obispo featuring more than a dozen businesses, most of which grew out of the winemaking process. New at 5:30, we show you how a local casino is wrapped up in a home invasion conviction. And also new, it's the talk of the town, how plants communicate to make sure they're protected.
"19-year-old Tatiana Duggar, a young black woman, disappeared in February of 2020.
Covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now. Coverage you can count on.
New at 5:30, we're learning more about the newly signed Ebony Alert Law here in California. Action News Now reporter Sade Pullen shows us what the effort to bring home missing black teens and young adults means for our area.
19-year-old Tatiana Duggar, a young black woman, disappeared in February of 2021. A hiker found her body near Weed in March. Would the Ebony Alert have helped? State Senator Stephen Bradford said the Ebony Alert definitely would have helped in situations like Tatiana's. Bradford says missing children and black women are underrepresented in comparison to their white counterparts.
You know, we saw some of the negative comments, but those are the same people who would say, you know, you don't need to do anything for African Americans. You know what I'm saying? We don't believe that discrimination and racism and bias exists in this country. So it's a shame that we need to have our own alert system. But again, history has taught us that if we don't speak up for ourselves, we're often forgotten here.
Now, I am here at the African American Family Cultural Center to see their opinion on the Ebony Alert and how missing black children are unrepresented in the media.
The Ebony Alert is that's amazing, right? And it's not to take away from anybody else, and it's not to put a highlight on anybody else. It's just to actually begin to, like I said, pull back the layers of systemic racism.
According to the census, in 2022, nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet African Americans make up only 13% of the population.
The Ebony Alert goes into effect in January. Butte County Search and Rescue says it's outgrowing its current facilities and looking for a new home. Operation Rescue Ready is a 4-year plan to raise $1.5 million for a new headquarters. Right now, the team has about 3,000 square feet for equipment storage, but wants to double that. The team says being unable to store all its equipment properly can prolong rescue times.
We have grown. Our team has grown significantly, and we've finally acquired the appropriate amount of equipment that we really need to support the needs of the county. However, our building is not properly sized, and we lack adequate storage for that equipment.
You have to pull stuff out by hand just to get equipment out of the bay. And if it's a call out that is urgent, it can slow us down 10 to 20 minutes just to get our equipment kind of Tetrised around.
Skaggs and Succo say there's no set location for where the new building will be. The team also wants to double the size of their classroom to have more disaster readiness classes within the community. You can find this story on our homepage if you'd like to learn more about how you could help. New at 5:30, a Tehama County jury convicted a man on 11 felonies following a home invasion. Deputies say Tony Edison and Eric Cotton held a victim at gunpoint, stealing their car and phone back in May. Later, the stolen car was seen near the Rolling Hills Casino. A deputy's patrol car rammed into it and arrested the suspects. A judge will sentence Cotton on November 13th. Edison will be in court October 30th. Happening now, a chance for you to weigh in on plans for an outdoor gun range and gun club in Shasta County. Board Chair Patrick Jones would be the owner of the new gun range. Jones is asking the county to rezone 151 acres to commercial recreation so that he can develop it. It would be built in the Millville Plains area, which is east of Anderson on Leopard Drive. Some neighbors have written letters opposed to the project, citing noise and impacts to wildlife. The Reading Department of Airports wants your feedback on Reading Regional's master plan. On Thursday, you can head over to the community room at Reading City Hall for the first of several public workshops. That meeting goes from 5 to 6:30, and these public workshops will help provide guidelines for the airport's overall maintenance, development, and operation. For decades, state and federal regulators have been working to cut down pollution at California ports. New at 5:30, John Ramos shows us the new guidelines aiming to keep the goods coming in and going out without so much environmental harm.
At the Port of Oakland, the concerns over pollution have been twofold: the semi-trucks waiting for pickup and delivery, and the giant ships themselves, as they sat sometimes for days with engines running to keep the ship operating. But in 2007, new rules mandated that ships drastically cut their emissions by plugging into shore power and kill the engines.
So if you're a container ship and you're at the Port of Oakland or the Port of LA or Long Beach, we plug in more container ships in those ports than any other ports in the entire world.
Mike Jacob with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association says his industry spent $1.5 billion installing the equipment and has achieved a cut in emissions of 80% as a result.
There's absolutely no question that this is a rule that we have successfully implemented as an industry for the better part of a decade. We are exceptionally proud of the investments that we've made.
But the federal EPA has just announced new rules that will bring that cut up to 90% and make it apply to each individual ship rather than a company's fleet average. Jacob says that will be a paperwork nightmare, but he doesn't think it will actually affect Oakland very much. But where it will have an effect is here in Richmond. This port is where the specialized ships hauling new cars are offloaded. And around the bend, near the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, the tanker ships line up to deliver oil to the Chevron refinery. Those two types of vessels have always been exempted from the rules because, unlike container ships, they don't follow a normal circular route, bringing them back again and again.
The California Air Resources Board says once the new regulation is fully implemented, it will reduce the risk of cancer by 55% for communities near the ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Richmond. Also new at 5:30, the Environmental Protection Agency wants to ban a harmful chemical often found in drinking water. Trichloroethylene, known as TCE, is a colorless liquid found in about 18% of U.S. drinking water. It does not occur naturally and is used as a degreasing solvent. It's linked to cancer, Parkinson's, and liver disease. New at 5:30, new efforts in the never-ending fight against robocalls. Congress heard from business and tech leaders about strategies to prevent the calls and texts. Robocalls, the blocking app called YouMail, says people in the U.S. got more than 4 billion robocalls last month and 2 billion unwanted scam and telemarketing calls. Margot Sanders is a senior attorney at the National Consumer Law Center, and she says the tools exist to take action.
In a civilization in which we can take pictures of Saturn's rings, the failure to solve this problem is not a matter of technology. It's a question of whether the people in power actually want to solve it.
Experts say robocall companies will find new ways to evade laws, and government agencies need to react quickly. The FCC says it's using AI to better fight these type of calls. Well, if you like talking to plants, you should know your garden could be talking about you. That's according to a new study that shows plants warn each other about danger. It maps out how they emit organic compounds when they're hurt. Nearby plants pick up on those chemicals and activate defenses. Now, this information can help farmers better protect their plants against insects and drought. So, I actually talk to my plants. I do. And I'm just being silly, I think, but you know, when you've got like a struggling garden, listen, I'll give them whatever help they can get.
Usually for me, it's me saying sorry for accidentally almost killing one of my plants.
Yeah.
So I forget. I thought it was a shaded plant. No, it was not. So it almost died, and I'm slowly bringing it back to health, and I keep forgetting to put it outside in the sunshine.
Listen, you know, sharing pleasantries can never hurt, right? Whether it's
Pretty much.
animals or plants. Why not? Why not?
Pretty much.
Well, coming up new at 5:30, we'll show you why kids are putting down their pencils and picking up Narcan. We have the details straight ahead. New at 5:30, schools across the state must now keep Narcan on hand in case of emergency. Caroline Cummings explains how students are learning to use this weapon in the fight against opioids.
20 students at Roosevelt High School Monday packaged hundreds of naloxone kits for people in Minneapolis to pick up at an access site, no questions asked. Life-saving tools they now know how to use in case of an emergency.
We felt it was really important to prepare them for a crisis that's happening, to give them hope and power in what they can do to intervene.
Carrie Anderson Slade teaches teens in the Health Careers program at Roosevelt. The school partnered with mHealth Fairview to teach students who opted in how to use the overdose reversal drug. They left the classroom today with their own doses of Narcan, the nasal spray version, and a certificate showing they're trained.
It just felt like we were capturing a moment where what we're providing is actually meeting them with what they need in this world.
More than 1,000 people died in Minnesota last year of an opioid overdose. That includes 27 kids under 18, a crisis fueled by the highly potent synthetic opioid, fentanyl.
We know that teenagers experiment. We know that they're curious. We know that there's peer pressure. All of these things that make this population such an important target when it comes to receiving this education and receiving the tools that they're going to be given today to save someone's life.
17-year-old Luna Isaacson chose to participate in the learning opportunity Monday as a way to step up for their community.
As I could be in the middle of the age group that's being impacted by opioids, that I should be responsible for educating myself on it and be able to help.
In Minneapolis, Caroline Cummings, WCCO News.
Schools must have 2 doses of the nasal spray version of Narcan in each building on campus. Now a live look over to Hayman County as more cool weather rolls our way.
You're watching Action News Now. Storm Tracker weather. Coverage you can count on.
We're taking a live look over Golden Glen County. Some clouds overhead, but you still can see that sun setting. Patrick, it looks pretty beautiful out there, even though it's a bit gloomy too.
Yeah, this is the perfect time when it comes to high-level clouds rolling in, because then we get all the colors in the sky and just that golden hour now that we've entered, well, that time of the evening. Here's what we have outside right now. This is from the South Oroville camera. Those high clouds continuing to move southward as they have most of the afternoon and evening. And this is going to be a transition night as we see these clouds thicken up into tomorrow morning and eventually having a cold front pass through tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon for the valley. And this could bring a chance for some showers in the mountains by the 12 o'clock hour. Some of this could spill into the mid-valley. This is where we're watching some of the air just being forced up and over the mountains. And any moisture that's going to be inside of that will get squeezed out and come in the form of rain. So that's what we'll watch tomorrow, at least in the mid-valley. Most of the valley, though, North Valley and even the western or western side of the valley, as I get my directions straight, should be dry over the course of the day because not a lot of moisture is with it, and it'll be on the downsloping effect where the air is, well, rather drier and doesn't have as much moisture after coming from the coastal mountains. We'll still see some scattered showers in the northern Sierra and some snow showers with elevations sitting about 6,000 to 7,000 feet at the snow level. So that's what we'll watch overall, but this will clear out pretty quickly by early Thursday morning. Rain totals not looking like a lot, maybe a quarter of an inch, if that, in the mountains, depending on your elevation. Otherwise, everywhere else barely getting to that, with most places hovering around a tenth of an inch in the higher elevations and a few hundredths of an inch in the valley, if anything does happen, most of it in Butte County. I don't think we'll see anything along the I-5 corridor. Winds will be coming from the south tonight and into tomorrow and eventually changing direction tomorrow evening as the system rolls through. Gusts up to about 20 miles per hour overall will be the broad stroke for wind gusts as we see the system pass through. Not a lot of wind. Mid-50s this evening, not too bad. Lower 60s. This is about 10 degrees below average for this time of year, and it's all brought to us by this dip in the jet stream. This is what's bringing some of the shower activity tomorrow. We'll get a reinforcing blow with some of the air moving in as we see another area of low pressure, but that sticks well to our northeast at this point in time. This will just help reinforce the cooler air that we're seeing, which will stick to the mid-60s for the most part through the next 7 days. A few clouds here or there possible, but again, nothing too significant, and those overnight lows sitting in the upper 30s to lower 40s. So to start the day, you may need a bigger coat, and we're really feeling like mid-November rather than late October.
All right, thanks, Patrick. I'm ready with all the big coats. And straight ahead, the latest person to take a whack at coaching the San Francisco Giants. Sports is next.
Big moves for the San Francisco Giants. Inside sources say the Bay Area team hired manager Bob Melvin away from the division rival San Diego Padres. Melvin will be returning to the Bay Area where he grew up and played for the Giants, then managed the Oakland A's from 2011 to 2021. He leaves San Diego with a year on his contract amid reports of friction with general manager A.J. Preller. After another thrilling offseason, the NBA is back, and there is plenty to look forward to, including the new midseason tournament and a whole host of teams entering with title aspirations. The Golden State Warriors head off against the Phoenix Suns tonight at 7. The Suns believe they can challenge the Nuggets for a title after the addition of Bradley Beal. The Lakers are also playing tonight against the Denver Nuggets, and that game already kicked off. Right now, Nuggets leading at halftime 63-54. The reigning champs begin their title defense looking strong yet again, but the Nuggets have suffered some key losses from their title-winning team in the form of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. And in baseball, the Phillies facing the Diamondbacks in Game 7. Last night, the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies, bringing the National League Championship Series to a tie. Now, this is the first Game 7 in the 141-year history of the Phillies franchise. Whoever wins tonight wins a one-way ticket to the World Series. If the D-backs win, it will be the second time they go to the series in franchise history. Right now, the score is 1-1. Did you know Alcatraz is a national park? We're going to show you the anniversary it's celebrating when we come back.
The goal is to get more people into the shelter here, provide them with services, and then eventually into permanent housing.
Alcatraz is celebrating its golden anniversary of being a national park. The former prison and Civil War fortress became a national park in 1972, 50 years ago. The strong, well, a little bit more than that. The strong currents around the island and cold water made escape nearly impossible, and the prison became one of the most notorious in American history. Roughly 1.5 million people visit Alcatraz each year. The official anniversary is this Friday. Must have been 73 then, right?
I think
50
so.
years? Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't been there. I've always wanted to, though.
I've been twice.
Okay.
I've only been here for 2.5 years,
Well,
and it's a really cool
It's
thing.
probably because I'm from California. They say people from California have never been to Alcatraz, but, you know,
I think that holds
visitors
true in this
make.
case.
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah.
to make my way there.
It's a fun trip.
And it would be cold to head out there
on the
this
boat
week.
ride?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. The next few days we'll start to feel a lot like mid-November rather than late October. So in some cases, you may need to flip on the heater. Tonight, though, we are looking pretty good. This is the last night of temperatures in the low to mid 50s. So if you like that kind of weather, enjoy it. You can open up your windows and let the fresh air in, but be ready for some much cooler weather on the way this week.
I open my windows in the middle of winter because I like the big, heavy blanket, you know? Feels
Yeah,
nice.
I like the blanket, but then also my apartment stays around 80 degrees regardless, so it's like, okay.
There you go. Action News Now at 6 is straight ahead.